Hey guys, welcome to Nerdarchy for Nerds by Nerds. I'm Nerdarchy Ryan, and today I'm joined by
Nathan Nerdark.
Eric's Dave.
And in this Unearthed Arcana review, a ranger, a paladin, and a monk walk into a bar. Before we get into this Unearthed Arcana video, check out the shirts we're wearing. So these are from our sponsor, Armor Class 10. If you jump down in the description, you can check out a link and go check out all the badass shirts that they have.
So it's Monday, and you know what we like to do on Mondays, guys. We bust out our Unearthed Arcana reviews. So we're going to delve into this one. We got a trio. We're going to be talking about the ranger, the monk, and the paladin. We got an oath, a conclave, and a tradition.
Yeah, and a monastic tradition, an inebriated monastic tradition with the drunken monk.
This one was quite eclectic and kind of a little bit weird combination.
Yeah, nothing was super, but otherwise, what do you make all the different traditions or archetypes or whatever? The alcoholic version, it's kind of hard to.
Well, we've also got some weird and outliers. We've got the drunkard fighter kind of thing. We've got the pacifist, and we've got the stalker. Pretty much. So it's a weird mix.
Not the restraining order kind, guys.
Yeah. Like
if I were a monster, I would get a restraining order from the monster slayer.
Yeah. So like, sorry, you can't legally be within like 100 miles of me.
Yeah. I don't think that's how it works, but good enough. So starting with the way of the drunken master. So right off the bat, the main thing they get is drunken technique gives you two things. You are now as graceful as a dancer because you have a performance skill if you didn't have before. Which it's weird in the wording because they didn't do it like they normally do. They normally call it, hey, if you have this already, pick something else.
Right. Yeah.
And instead they're like, hey, if you don't have this, you do now. If not, you're boned. But the really cool thing is when you use their flurry of blows feature, you get to use the disengage action and you get an extra 10 feet of movement. I think that's pretty sweet.
It absolutely works. It's very thematic. Now, the interesting thing about the way they've done the Drunken Master in this edition versus what we've seen in like a third edition or a Paizo version.
Are you going to go into the fact you have to spend 2 levels getting drunk before you've mastered being drunk?
Right, exactly. But that is an interesting little sidebar. But before, like, they literally tied it to having alcoholic drinks, whereas this one, it's more technique, so you don't really have to be a drunkard, but you could.
That is true, but I believe traditionally drunken styles you're not actually drunk either.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely 100%
Well, I mean,
sure
like
on that,
there's like the actual fighting style. There's the mythos in the sort of in like kung fu theater sort of movies and things like that. But a lot of times in the movies, though, the drunken master fighter is also a drunken person.
Yeah.
So
he just happens to be a master.
Yeah. Exactly.
I just keep thinking of the Jackie Chan movie.
Yeah.
That's all I got in my head right now.
Yeah. So I think the drunken technique is a really cool addition to the class, and then we have the tipsy sway.
We do. So tipsy sway. I feel tipsy. I can't say. Tipsy sway as a reaction when an enemy misses you with a melee attack roll, cause that attack to hit one creature of your choice, which is really cool. It just happens.
The sipsy tway is pretty cool.
It is pretty cool. Short or long rest, boom. If they miss you, you make them hit somebody else as long as you have a reaction.
That is a really cool. Just like it's kind of like you're just nudging their hand to like punch somebody else in the face. Like that's kind of neat.
Yeah, it's the classic, guy swinging a sword or trying to hit you with a chair, and you just dodge out of the way, and it hits their friend. And
you stagger.
As well.
Drunkard's luck. Starting at 11th level, you always seem to get a lucky bounce just at the right moment to save you from doom. Basically, you can spend a Kai point to gain advantage on a saving throw. You have to declare it beforehand.
Well, so this is interesting in that it seems to break with most things, like most expenditures of resources. I mean, the monk, because they can recoup their key points in 10-minute intervals, basically a short rest. Mm-hmm. So they do have more access to resources, but it's interesting. Most times when you have something like this, you get to you get to see the die result, and before the determination of whether you succeeded or failed, you get to choose. In this one, you still have to spend that resource no matter what.
Yeah,
but it's cheap.
It is cheap.
1 Kai point.
Yeah,
whatever you call it.
It's worthwhile. It is typically going to be worth the usage.
By 11th level, you got 11 of them, so it's not as bad.
And you recoup it in a mini short rest. So,
yeah, and how many times are you going to actually need to use all your Kai points before,
Yeah, could be. Could go either way.
I'm loving the 17th level ability, Intoxicating Frenzy. Basically, when you're overwhelmed, you can unleash like the mega flurry of blows, where you can attack up to 5 opponents. The only thing is, where flurry of blows attacks have to be against separate targets. So you can use your 2 standard attacks against one person, but the other 3 have to be
in a circle around.
Spread
you.
around.
Yeah.
So
Well, you can, when you use Fairy of Blows, you get disengage action, and you get 10 feet extra movement. So you can kind of just bop around, right? That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, you would absolutely be able to do
Yeah,
that.
with no problems, right?
yeah, yeah, that seems to be a legit tactic, and also too. So getting to your expenditures of your key points, you're gonna want to stunning fist a lot of people. Spread that love out because they can't do anything until the end of your next turn. So
just
you
be
make them
bopping
lose.
these.
You can make a bunch of people lose. You can make like 7 people respectively lose their turn if they all fail.
No, you're limited to 5. That's the only thing that's like, the way it's worded,
5.
it sounds really cool,
Well-
but you only get 1 extra attack.
Hmm,
Up to 5 attacks.
I think they worded it so you had to initiate your Flurry of Blows so that it activates all the rest of the stuff going on. So
Because normally
you
you
get the disengage action and then 10
So
feet
it's giving you
movement.
1 extra flurry of blows attack, essentially, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
essentially, yeah.
1 extra. Okay,
The
it's
way,
still
the
still
way
good.
it's worded, like maybe the sage is weighed in and given some clarification. So, I mean, that part is a little weird. Like, I would like to see it like 5 attacks plus your normal 2.
I think just saying you get 1 additional flurry of blows above and beyond, still fair enough. Still good.
17th level.
Well,
It's-
how much are you
you-
doing with that hit?
A die 12, is it? Die
Oh,
10, something
yeah.
like that. And you have to attack separate things. So, what are you?
It's
hitting
not like you can just pummel somebody.
What are you hitting at that point, right?
Right.
Like you're not dropping things probably. So
That's true. But again, with the spreading out the stunning fist.
yeah. Well, I mean that is the only thing. But the other thing you're gonna be spreading out is those Kai points.
Yeah.
Yes,
And you're gonna
you're
be,
burning-
they're like, oh, I'm
you're
done in
burning
2
through 'em,
rounds.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, again, we found a use for all of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that brings us to our Paladin, Oath of Redemption. This is a different Paladin. We haven't seen this version of a Paladin yet. This is the Jesus Paladin. This is the pacifist. This is the guy that really is walking around trying to convert everyone to the good way.
But he will still do something about it, like against fiends and other things like that.
Oh yeah, things that are unredeemably evil. He's like, no, f that. They gotta go.
Yeah. But their spell list is super thematic and just a solid spell list. Like when you think about it, what you're going to be doing in a combat as well.
Oh yeah, they got a great spell list. They actually have really good abilities. They get shield, sleep, whole person, rave, enfeeblement, counterspell, hypnotic pattern, Odalix, resilient sphere, stone skin, hold monster wall of force. The 2 that I'm a big fan of are shield and counterspell.
Yeah.
So this paladin can use his reaction all the time.
But everything else is toward locking people down. So
Yes, yeah, being like, calm down, man, calm down.
settle down, bro.
It doesn't got to be that way. So armor of peace. This is weird because we're seeing a new mechanic. We're getting a static armor class plus your dexterity, as long as they're not using armor or shield.
Right. So, I mean, it's a trade-off, but if you maxed out your dexterity, you could have a 21 armor class like naked.
You could, and there are still some things that technically could bring up your armor class. Bracers of defense aren't technically armor. A ring of protection, cloak of protection. So there are some other things you could actually do.
And you can cast shield. So
Yeah,
you can
have
really
that
bump that
resource.
AC up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you could be a 26 for a round. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or more depending on your gear.
Warrior of Reconciliation is the other 3rd level ability they get, and this is the one where it says, well, you are kind of a pacifist and a peaceful guy, so your weapons will suck.
And you get old school cleric weapons, basically. You get 2nd edition cleric.
Yes. Yeah. You have to use a simple weapon that deals bludgeoning damage. It's actually slightly worse.
you don't need to use it all the time. It's just if you want to gain the special ability. Similar to Armor of Peace. I think you can still wear armor.
You just don't get the
You just
ability.
have a 16 naturally.
Yes.
So why not? Why would you wear armor?
If you got it, when you got it, flaunt it is really.
Yeah,
what this comes
and
down
this
to.
one, if you reduce a creature to 0 hit points with a weapon, that's like a staff or something like that, or a stick. Was instead of falling unconscious, creatures charmed by you for a minute.
Yes.
So that's a big deal.
As long as nobody attacks them, you don't attack them. They're
And
not taking damage.
you can't make them attack.
Yeah.
And that's cool because you can do interrogation, you can do talking to them, like, hey, look,
You can get a
I'll
foot
just-
massage.
I'll
Yeah,
just
sweet,
beat you
sweet.
down again if you get out of hand. So are we going to play nice or are we going to...
Dave convinced me foot massage is the way you go with this.
All right, well, I mean,
Yeah.
they are
But,
charmed.
I mean, it is a weird sort of, I don't know, the idea that you've beaten someone down so much and, I'm going to kind of be helpful to you now. I don't know. It's a little interesting. It's a little, like, I guess hypnotic in a way. Like,
Yeah, I'll be helpful to you as long as it's not violent.
for
Well,
the next minute.
If you think about it, in a lot of situations where, people are concerned about dying and someone, rather than kill you, just like knocks your weapon in hand, slaps you on the head, and you're on the ground, like days, I would be nicer to the person that just beat me down and didn't kill me.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to not get killed. He could still change his mind. I am like
On
at
death's
his
door.
mercy in
Death's
essence.
door here.
Yeah.
I'm going to about to start making death
I
saving
could
throws.
swat at him fiercely like a cat at this point. Like what am I gonna do?
There's nothing to gain.
Yeah.
Now, it just feels weird in D&D.
It's just the charm effect enforces that rather than, well, you're a holy paladin,
Yeah. Well, he would be
You got the aura.
he would be unconscious otherwise.
Yeah,
So
better than being unconscious or dead.
I guess foot massages.
Yeah,
I think
foot
we've settled
massages,
upon
yeah.
foot massages.
I feel like that's gonna be some strange sage advice question. Can you do a foot massage
Can you make
at 0 hit
them?
points?
Just like all these absurd questions, they're just like, "What? Jesus Christ! God, what is wrong with you people?"
You could get really dark with it too, but I'll stay away from it.
Yeah, right.
Channel divinities, we get a couple more of those, of course. We're a paladin, emissary of peace. I don't think we've seen this mechanic either. This is power creep.
What is it, +5 to the persuasion?
It is.
Well, rather than advantage.
Well,
Yes.
so you in one instance you get that +5.
Yeah, it is, but like, where does it go next? It's in a place that doesn't matter as much.
It's just a persuasion check, but they probably should have just made it advantage because if you're an actor or something else, you already get advantage. So getting advantage and +5 makes it like you're really gonna succeed. Like there's not. I mean,
Yeah, you're gonna overwhelm me.
You're a pacifist thespian.
yeah.
So it's just weird in a sense that I don't think I've seen this anywhere else up until this point.
Yeah, it's relatively new. They're probably trying it on for size. But with Channel Divinity, it's not like you get tons of access
That's true.
to these abilities. They are something that you get once in a blue, really. So,
Turning undead is definitely more powerful than
then a +5 to
True.
+5 to persuasion.
Well, see, here's the thing, right? If you focus on the charisma and persuasion part, I totally agree with you guys.
But if it's used for anything else.
But if it's ever used for anything else, a +5 is literally being like, what is that, like 15th level? That's the proficiency bonus?
Yeah.
So in bounded accuracy, a +5 is huge.
Oh yeah, and like I said, especially if you already get advantage at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's also the thing too, like if there's a course of action you're absolutely not going to persuade someone for because they're so dead set to do it. Like if there's room for discussion, then that persuasion is going to help. But then again, if somebody's going to rob you, right? You're not going to talk them most of the time. You're not going to be talked down from robbing someone if that's what they're going to do. They're going to do, and like you might have talked them into feeling bad about doing it, but at the end of the day, banditry is bandit. Bandits got.
And then you can be like, he stole my money, but someday he'll repent.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's the only thing. I'm curious to see where that goes. Then we have rebuke the violent, which this is basically turn undead against people that are violent.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah,
how you talk down the barbarian. Basically, they have to make a wisdom saving throw. Oh wait, no, it doesn't do what I thought it did.
No, just damage. They're gonna just take radiant.
Yeah,
damage.
basically, yeah. They're gonna take damage.
You're zapping the violent. Is really you're bug zapping. Yeah.
Yes.
So
So they make a wisdom saving throw, and if they fail it, anytime they attack, they take radiant damage equal to the damage they dealt. So, a successful save, they take half as much damage. So it's kind of cool. You're just like, zzz, zzz.
well, what you do is you say, "Why are you hitting yourself? Why are you hitting yourself?"
Yeah. It's that radiant. Well, I guess we talked about it off air, like the idea that they have a nimbus of holy aura. That's their armor class.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. It is a little weird when you talk about the 16 armor class, unless you have some sort of way of explaining what that is.
In some instances, you would literally take off their armor and it'd be less squishy underneath.
Yeah.
It'd be like,
Yeah.
you just got harder. Look at these abs.
These abs can take a sword. That's really, really supernaturally hard abs.
Yeah,
Abs of steel, baby.
Abs of steel.
that wasn't my abs. Aura of the Guardian. Starting at 7th level, you can shield your allies from harm at a cost to your own health. As a reaction, when an ally within 10 feet of you takes damage, you instead magically take the damage. This feature doesn't transfer any other effect that might accompany that damage.
All right. So
So wait. When it says if you're playing with Scott Garibay, do not activate this ability under
never
circumstances.
ever.
Never ever.
Never ever.
Yeah,
All
fine
right,
print.
so,
Fine print.
so there's no once per short or long rest. I mean, I
No.
feel like this character's going to want to do it all the time.
Well, he is. That's his idea. He's like, I don't hurt them. They're my friends.
I think this character's not going to have a long life expectancy.
Well,
especially if there's a Scott Garibay.
at 15th level, it helps a little. And, you know, he
Well,
can lay on
it's as a
hands.
reaction, so you only can do it once per turn.
Yes.
So there's that. There's
Oh
a
yes,
limiting
there's
factor
that.
of
Yeah.
They're like, we
Yeah.
have to save them from Scott Garibay somehow.
Yeah. If only some people just want to watch the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is a paladin that definitely wants us to take some healing capabilities to heal thyself as it's taking on all this
Yeah,
damage.
I think this is like the only paladin I've ever seen that's not going to be into smiting.
Yeah. I mean,
it's like I need these spell slots, guys.
he reserves his smiting for those things that are unredeemable.
Super
Yeah.
naughty in my sight.
Yes. Well, but then again, the way the way everything works, if he's using a cudgel or a staff or something, he can smite them until the pants is charmed off of them, literally.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
it's a
If he
wants
docility.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah, so starting at 15th level, we have Protect the Spirit, which is a holy presence, mends your wounds in combat. You regain hit points equal to 1d6 plus half your paladin level if you end your turn in combat with fewer than half of your hit points remaining and you aren't incapacitated.
This is when you can start using some of those cures for smites now.
Yes.
At this point.
At 15th level, you can now smite the evil.
Yeah.
I mean, when you first get it, you're getting 8 to 13 points of back every round, so that helps with that damage you've been soaking up for your
yeah,
buddies.
it's nice.
That and lay on hands. So their keystone ability is Emissary of Redemption. You have resistance to all damage dealt by other creatures, their attacks, their spells, other effects. That's really good. Like, that's better than anything else in the game when it comes to resistance.
Yeah, except for you can't be actively harming anything when you do it. So that's like you're doing this to not fight. You're doing this to go deliver a speech or something like that.
Yeah, if you attack a creature, deal damage to it, or force it to make a saving throw, neither benefit works against that creature until you finish a long rest. But that being said, you can just pick like, okay, well, I'm just going to fight the minions, but I'm going to ignore the big bad for now, or however you want to do it. Also, whenever a creature damages you, it takes damage equal to half the amount it dealt to you. So really,
It's an equal trade-off because the damage is already half. So they're taking the same thing that you've just reduced it to as well. So it's an equal trade.
but here's the thing.
you're regenererating after you get to a certain extent.
And if you're using your reaction
Yeah.
to take the damage from
Yes.
other people,
Yeah.
you could actually be giving it back to them too. This is really a weird.
I hit Ryan. Dave blasts me with radiant damage.
Like this could be this very.
And heals himself.
You could play this character the way it's meant to be played,
or you can figure out.
or you can play this character as this weird sadist type character.
Yeah.
No, don't hurt yourself. Hurt me.
Yeah, like I'm just getting really turned on here, guys.
Oh my
Like,
God! What's
yeah.
the guy's name from South Park?
Oh, like Mr. Garrison and Mr. Slave. That's what
Mr. Slave, yeah.
That's what it's oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah. It could
Yeah.
completely be
So
that
with this
situation.
20th, now a lot of the 20th level paladin things have a time limit. This is just the only restriction is if you hit somebody, you got to take a long rest before you can do anything to them.
Yeah, this one is
With
just
the
going down.
Yeah.
I feel like that was an oversight. Probably it lasts a minute, an hour, or something like that.
No,
Like,
I think without the rest of all the rest of the abilities, this is not really that fancy.
And not only that, you literally can't fit. You can't act against the person.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: what if you're there just shutting down the mage? Counter spell
Yeah.
and and stuff like that. So
and if you force it to make a saving throw, so this thing that their 15th level ability.
oh yeah, it's not the 15th one, but I know what
It's
you mean.
that's the channel divinity, right? That
Yeah,
makes
yeah,
them
they have to
wisdom
make a saving
so you
throw.
couldn't use that ability against them.
Yes. So they basically capped it. Like you can use one or the other.
Yeah.
fair enough.
So that brings us to the Monster Slayer, which we've seen Monster Slayer before, but it was a fighter archetype. Now we're getting it as the Ranger archetype. And again, we get some thematic, spells that are going to help you hunt and fight and battle monsters.
Well, and the important thing too is it expands your spell list rather than because the ranger has to choose their spells, so that's super helpful.
They just get added to it, yeah. So they might not be ones you would normally take as a ranger, probably, but you got them. So hey,
I'm a big proponent of spell casting class with limited spell options and choices, getting like a spell selection based on what it is they do. Like I think the sorcerer would have usually benefited from a thematic list as well. So
Agreed.
They tried it and decided no, or maybe they don't want to go backwards and fix this stuff. I don't know. But so their third level ability is Slayer's Eye. Starting at third level, you gain the ability to study and unravel a creature's defenses. As a bonus action, choose one creature you can see with 120 feet of you. You immediately learn the target's vulnerabilities, immunities, and resistances. You also learn any special effects triggered when the target takes damage, such as fire damage, halting its regeneration.
So I completely see this as playing like the Steve Irwin. I see that Tarrasque stampeding towards me. He looks really pissed off now. I'm just gonna jab my arrow straight in his eye socket. By crikey,
He's weak in the eyes.
Danger.
So in addition,
he should also be a kobold for some reason. I don't know why.
So in addition to this, the first time each turn you hit the target with a weapon attack, the target takes an additional d6 damage from your weapon. So you're doing a little extra damage.
With Hunter's Mark especially too. Like once you've injured
that's
d6
right.
and then d8.
You can slap Hunter's Mark on top of that.
Yes,
So
why wouldn't you?
that's a lot of that adds up.
Once you've injured him, right? That's
so he's taking an extra d6 a turn on top of all the Hunter Mark and everything you do to him. And this benefit lasts until you target a different creature with this feature, or until you finish a short or long rest.
Right, and it's not a recharge ability. You just always can do this.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a cool thing. It's not like super powerful. It's a little bit of extra damage.
Uses a bonus action.
It uses a bonus action to turn it around on or move it off, which is going to be really annoying with Hunter's Mark because you're going to be
when you have to stagger them. Basically.
Yeah, you have to shift them.
But you're hunting big game, so they got a lot of hit points to soak up when you're fighting your dragons and your Tarrasque and stuff.
So all in all, it's decent. That brings us to supernatural defense, and this is kind of like it's like your bardic inspiration for your monster slayer. 7th level gain extra resilience against a prey's assaults on your mind and body whenever a target of your Slayer's Eye forces you to make a saving throw. Add a d6 to the roll, so it's very specific.
Targeting to one creature. So this is interesting. Like I like things that kind of hook on to mechanics that they introduce. Like, okay, well, while you're doing this thing, you get to add this thing as a part of it, and it just kind of scales in with that.
Yeah. So they're doubling down on your Hunter's Eye, and if it happens to be something that has mind controlling effects, it's going to have a hard time with you. Perfect.
Like Illithid Beholder type of situation.
Very useful against a Beholder. Relentless Slayer at 11th level. Gain the ability to foil your foe's ability to escape. Your study of folklore and arcane knowledge gives you a key insight into keep your prey cornered. The target of your Slayer's Eye attempts to teleport, change its shape, travel to another plane of existence, or turn gaseous. You can use your reaction to make a wisdom check contested by a wisdom check, new mechanic, made by the target. Use the ability. You must be able to see the target and need to be within 30 feet of it. If you succeed, you foil the attempt, causing it to waste the action, bonus action, or reaction. Very cool. You shut them down, and they don't get their action.
Yeah, a roll versus roll mechanic, and also, too, I get to tell my folklorist girlfriend that her knowledge, her field of expertise has a useful application in Dungeons & Dragons.
Now, with this, I would say... what would I say?
I don't know.
What the Nate say?
Wisdom being used as a versus mechanic.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, they use athletics and escape artist. Like escaping with dexterity and strength for athletics. They use that for grapple and stuff. So that's opposed strength, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think the interesting choice is actually
that's wisdom.
Actually, the interesting choice is technically this is like a force of will charisma, I would think, but they're like most rangers are going to put an 8 in charisma, so let's give them a fighting chance.
Yeah, they're just not going to do it.
Charisma is your presence, and this is they're saying wisdom, so willpower. I don't know. Yeah, you are correct. There are opposed checks in the game. Just we haven't seen any ones that are class features. The only ones that are in the game are basically combat related.
Yeah.
And and tied to a skill.
Yeah, combat resolution
Where,
skills.
yeah, where this has
Yeah.
no skill tied to it. Slayer's Counter. 15th level, you gain the ability to counterattack when your prey tries to sabotage you. The target of your Slayer's Eye forces you to make a saving throw. You can use your reaction to F them up. It says it right here. Now,
Yeah.
you can use your reaction to make a weapon attack against it. You make this attack immediately before making the saving throw. If the attack hits, you save automatically and succeed in addition to the attack's normal effects.
Now, putting the kibosh on the fact that you just auto succeed the saving throw, that's pretty cool. That's like a neat little, like, I don't think so.
Yeah, that's a nice part of it. One of the things that they seem to really be doing with a lot of these archetypes that they're introducing is giving you other ways to use your actions.
Yeah.
And like this ranger,
The underused actions, yeah.
this ranger gets bonus action use, it gets reaction use. Matter of fact, a lot of the ones that they're building are like, okay, we've actually given you too many things you can do, and you're gonna have to like pick and choose how to use them.
Right, yeah.
And there's some of them are situational. Like the Slayer's Counter is great because, it's going to come up once in a while, not as frequently.
Well, there's like oversized monsters that the strength of their attack forces you to make a strength saving throw or be like punted or whatever.
Mhm.
As far as that goes, like again, I think the Teresk's tail attack.
Yeah, so you get to hit the tail.
So,
and
so
then,
like yeah,
and then
you
dodge
and then
out
like
the
it's not you cut it in just a way that like it kind of sweeps past you that you take the damage, but you're not going to be flung. So
It's interesting and it's fun mechanically, and it kind of like stories in there.
and you could figure out how you're going to describe what you do.
Yeah.
Like, as far as that, like,
Dude, it's totally when like the T-Rex tries to eat you, and he like scoops you up, and you're like putting the sword at its jaw.
Yeah.
At the roof of its mouth. Bite down if you want to, kind of deal. Or Luke Skywalker and the Rancor. Like there's definitely a ton of fun ways for your player to say how they did it.
It's very cinematic,
yeah.
which is one of the major things I like about it.
Yes, I like this. All in all, I like this. This Unearthed Arcana. I think this Monster Slayer might be better than the fighter one. Or at least if not better, it's definitely more flavorful, and I like it for the role playing applications you can go with.
And I think it feels cooler in Ranger personally.
Yeah. So like the Monster Slayer and the Drunken Master are the ones that I think are going to fit at the gaming table most aptly. The Redeemer, I don't know. There's like some balance things. Just see how it works. Like it seems like it could be just so good at soaking damage that it makes it hard on the Dungeon Master to challenge the party if you're just taking in at the high levels. You're taking.
I would think they do a good fill in as a cleric. And if a cleric's just going to heal. Yeah. Now the cleric can do other stuff besides just healing.
But then again, though, like your tank taking a lot of damage is probably not a great idea.
Because other things are going to,
Yeah, like,
unless there's another 2 in the party.
There's that. Like now, that's where it could come in really handy if he's like the secondary tank, but he's able to actually siphon off their damage and their hurt. Yeah. That would be very useful. Expect a sadist build from me at some point.
Oh yeah, that's good. I like that. So, aside from Dave's sadist character build, let us guys know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe.
You can patronize us in a good way over on Patreon.
Hey, don't forget to check out our sponsor, Armor Class 10, for these awesome shirts.
And until next time,
stay nerdy.